Good afternoon. This is Avraham Shira from Meron, Israel. We're at the base of the mountain at a camp we made several days ago. And I imagine most of you know what happened last night here at the great celebration of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Lag BaOmer. I don't think we have to go into the details. I'm not really qualified as a news reporter. I wasn't there, but I heard the first-hand accounts, as many of you had, of the people that were there. It was about midnight where we started hearing the sirens and the screaming and the honking and the running, and the fear spread. And understandably, the celebration turned into mourning almost instantly when we got the word of people passing away. Okay, that should be a little better. So we went through the night, really didn't sleep much. People were sitting on the ground crying, saying Tehillim, lighting candles. Certainly a tragedy that we could not foresee. This tragedy that everyone was asking questions. Why does this happen? Why does any tragedy happen? And all of us with our limited grasp of reality, because that's what a human being is, a limited grasp of the big picture, struggling and striving for some understanding why these tragedies, especially this type of tragedy at the peak of the joy for hundreds of thousands of people, could turn so bad so fast. And some people said it was a punishment, and some people said it was an atonement, and some people said it's a continuation of a war between good and evil, and some people said it's a continuation of a war between the religious and the police, and the government and the other side of government, whatever that means. A lot of different answers people come up with. And all those answers, there might be truth in some of them, but it's not the whole truth. The only whole truth is in the mind of the one who creates reality, because he knows all the reasons. And the Creator's mind can't grasp completely the matrix of causes and effects that are at work in such a traumatic event. There's just too many causes and too many effects and too many calculations that no human being can make. But I ask myself a question: why do we automatically leap to want to know why? Why is that our first human impulse? I need to know why. The minute I started grasping in my little brain for whys, I felt embarrassed because I realized how absurd that is. And I thought of all the families that are in mourning this day, and will mourn this day every year for the rest of their lives. Why don't we jump to that first? To the suffering of people we know and don't know. I know people that were there, and they got out, thank God. But obviously, not everybody got out. But I would like to address this point of, why do I need to know why? It's a question that really probably shouldn't be laughed at, but I guess that's my way of releasing the suffering or the pain. Why do we need to know why? Well, I think it's because we have a divine spark in us that needs justice. Part of us just needs justice. Because if there is no justice, then we are on the wrong planet. And if there is no justice, then we don't have the right God. Now, the rabbis have been telling us for thousands of years that God is completely just, and yet they also tell us that don't try to play God. Don't try to conceive of a level of justice that is beyond us. We don't know all the souls that were involved there. We don't know their previous incarnations. We don't know what they've done in this life or in other lives. We don't know what good they came here to accomplish. And so, once we take ourselves out of the chair of trying to play God and ask why and know why and say, I can't know why. As a matter of fact, maybe another reason in the matrix of why is in order that I feel uncomfortable. Maybe uncomfortableness is part of the purpose of these tragedies. And as big and as horrible as this was, people are shooting each other in the streets all over the world, more and more. When the absurd violence becomes normal, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. The Rambam writes that when a society devolves into insanity, he says you pick yourself up and you go out to the desert and you live alone. Okay, well, I'm not sure we're all ready for that. I'm not sure that all of society is insane. If our only choice was Sodom and Gomorrah, then it might be good to buy a camper and head out to the Dead Sea. But nonetheless, let's re-ask that question. Why do I need the comfort? Why do I need the justice? Because the justice gives me comfort in the context of being in this world. And we need comfort. Now, if we look at the Bible and we look at the Tanakh and all the prophecies and stories of the prophets and the judges from the moment that the Jews came into this land with Yeshua ben Nun and all the prophets that came after him, Devorah, Hanaviyah, and Shimshon, and Yiftach, and Gidon, we see a pattern here. A pattern that might teach us something about our idea of needing comfort. And the idea of receiving our comfort from justice, or our conception of it. But we know the pattern very well. That the nation is righteous for a certain period of time, and life gets good. Isn't that great? You live well, you live according to the Torah, and life gets good. And your kids are healthy, and you can make a living, and you can pay your bills, and you can have Shabbos, and you can go to work and feel good the next week and do it again. And society grows and expands, and the economy flowers, and people feel like, this is a place I can live. Now, this goes on for a while until success somehow seems to sabotage us. It gets so good that we can't bear it. I call it the exile of excess. The exile of excess means there's so much bounty, so much shefa and blessing that it becomes itself a source of exile from our true selves, our godly spark. And so, of course, what does God do? He has to make us uncomfortable. And he sends us the Amorites, which are just across the Jordan Valley. And he sends us the Moabites, neighbors, again. And he sends us, people from Syria, and people from Lebanon, and people from Egypt. And sometimes they even come on boats, and they make the Jewish people uncomfortable very quickly. And they attack us, and they take villages, and they take slaves, and they destroy homes and buildings, and they destroy farms and crops until it gets so bad that we scream out to God. And over in the Tanakh, God sends a righteous, fearless, courageous leader and brings about redemption, which essentially means freedom from the oppressor. But the oppressor was sent to us oftentimes because of what's called idol worship. It's the general term for licentious living. In a very general way, most of Avodah Zorah deals with, as the rabbis say, the Jews wouldn't even serve idols if it wasn't for what was going on in the back rooms, which was usually some form of mass prostitution. Except the Jews weren't stupid. The Jews wouldn't serve false gods and demons and all kinds of spirits. But they did like to have a good time. If you want to define that as a good time, going into the back rooms of those temples. So we understand the pattern, and the discomfort is part of the repair. The discomfort is part of what makes us want to come back to our true selves, to righteous living, to the way of the Torah. As we've tried to live it, I think in our generation there's been the greatest renewal of Torah learning and Torah observance maybe ever. Maybe since the Jews came back to God in Shushan, in Persia, the time of the Esther and Mordechai and the Purim story, or maybe the Hanukkah story was a big one. But in the last 40, 50 years, there's been a great surge in Jewish learning, practice, and an expansion of knowledge of God. I'm proud to be part of this generation. I think about the earlier generations of my grandfather, my great-grandfather, the movements and the isms and the ideologies that were extant in the world 100, 120, 140, 50 years ago. Those systems would not make me proud. Okay, so now we have an understanding a little bit about why we get uncomfort, why tragedies happen, It's a matrix we can't grasp, but we know that it's made of many different things, and one of them might just be this idea of we need to change, and the discomfort and the need for justice to understand is a motivating force. Now, I saw the videos, maybe some of you have also, of what went down over there on at the kever of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And, you know, I've been in the yeshiva world for 30 years. And those are good people. And if you listen to the audio reports, some of the women that I heard speaking and the men that were there, these are righteous, pure souls that want goodness, that do goodness. And they were crushed under a stampede. Now, why it happened, there's talk about that. The reports that they're giving was that the police did not allow an artery of traffic through a certain point in the structure that is built over the cave of Rabbi Shimon. And why the police did that, I don't know. And who they were, I don't know. And were they properly trained? I don't know. Apparently not. And will they be reprimanded? I don't know. You know, the rabbis teach us in Pirkei Avot, teach your tongue to say, I do not know. Why? Well, because it's, first of all, it's a form of humility, but it's also a way of releasing ourselves from the stress of trying to know things that are above us. See, it's good to be humble, but one of the reasons it's good to be humble is because we don't trouble ourselves with godly questions that we can't answer. And instead of asking ourselves the questions that we can answer, like why wasn't I more nice to that person, or why wasn't I more considerate, or why didn't I learn more, or pray more, or do more of the things that I'm commanded to do, and seek the comfort there. Now, the true comfort is Shabbos. Shabbos is where we receive comfort from a very high place. Oh, here comes the little girls. Hey girls, say hi. It's my granddaughters are showing up here. They just went to get ready for Shabbos. The comfort of Shabbos is not given to us because we've achieved some knowledge of God's justice. Right? The comfort of Shabbos comes because we let go of this world, this childlike grip. You know, you ever watch a kid when he's holding on to something he doesn't want to give up? You know, if you try to pull away his toy or his bottle or whatever he's holding on tight. The Shabbos gives us a chance to stop holding on so tight. And that gives us another level of comfort, of peace. Without having to try to play God and get all the answers so I somehow feel better. I'm not going to feel better because I knew why. If I was God and I knew all 45 people that died and why exactly every one of them had to leave this world last night. Would I feel better? It's not about feeling better. It's about understanding our true place and our purpose and our function. God controls evil people just like He controls good people. And we know this. We've lived it. We've seen it so many times. So let's not trouble ourselves this Shabbat with asking the wrong questions. Let's ask the right questions. And if justice is served in this world, then that gives God joy. And if it's not, well, it'll be served in its right time and place. You know, I woke up this morning, I wanted to leave Meron. I wanted to pack up the camp, get on the highway and head home. And then I realized, well, why am I want to head home? Because I don't feel comfortable here. So many people were hurt and died last night. Who wants to spend Shabbos in such a place? And I realized, no, but you don't come to the tzaddik, to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai or any tzaddik, just because you want a good time, because you want to party, you want to dance and sing and make l'chaims. You do that, but that's not the only reason why we come to the righteous. And we saw last night, Hashem and Rabbi Shimon turned down the party real quick. And if I was going to leave, well then why did I come? Just for that? No. I've spent most of my time here on Facebook and Patreon and YouTube and etc., which is, Baruch Hashem, is what I need to do. But a lot of people left the camp. And I'm in a camp, they call it the Moroccan camp. There's a whole herd of sheep they bring here every year. And literally tons of barbecue and all kinds of goodies. And, you know, they have live music and they really celebrate right. And a lot of people left the camp, and a lot of people left Meron last night. I understand why. And it suddenly hit me, though, this morning, no, I have to stay because I'm not here for those reasons. I'm here because I want to be close now to Rabbi Shimon. We have to pray more. Now is the time our prayers can really do something. And to go home now would be like being one of those fair weather friends Shakespeare spoke about a few years ago. You know, I'm a friend of the tzaddik when it's good for me. No. That we're here at Rabbi Shimon now because this is the time we can do more work, more good work. And perhaps bring down some sweetness in the midst of all this sadness. But the sadness is only because we don't have the knowledge. But we know that there is knowledge, and there is one who has the knowledge. He is the knower. He is the knowledge. He is what is known. And we're just kind of like part of that equation. Knowledge originates, passes through us, and moves on. Right now, Shabbos is coming, thank God. And we're going to have new comfort, a new type of Shabbos, perhaps. And we know that this event, mark my words, this event is only going to create greater goodness and open up new channels of blessing in Am Yisrael and create new avenues of holiness and spirituality in the people. And it will turn to greater and greater good. And this has always been the Jewish response to tragedy, and this is the only way that we're supposed to respond. With that knowledge that when the fall happens, we get up and we get stronger, and we do what we do better, and we take responsibility for ourselves. And we don't worry about anybody else's, including God's responsibility to us, as if there was such a thing. So I bless you all with a good Shabbos, peaceful Shabbos, and to feel the comfort of the knowledge that there is a knower. And I don't have to be, the one who decides and figures out all the reasons in the matrix. All I have to do is receive the joy of Shabbos and begin again. And that's what we're going to do. And we'll see you next week on all the outlets. We'll continue our daily class with Rabbi Nachman and the explorations into Jewish meditation, Kabbalah, that these wonderful tools that we've been given this generation to share this ancient wisdom. God bless you all. Shabbat Shalom.